Well...
Oh, Vince. I'm so glad you're safe. I'm so sorry it came to that.
I feel like I have a million things to tell you. And a million more things to ask now, but... before any of that, I need you to do something. Please.
What is it?
When you found out Alexis had turned Sam, you took away her ability to invoke him. I need you to do that to me.
Vincent, the ability to invoke is not something to be thrown away lightly. It can mean the very difference between life and death. You know that.
I know, and I'm grateful for how you used it on me, but I don't want that ability. I don't ever want to know what that's like. They're still unconscious from the turning, and I want it gone before they ever even wake up. I don't even want that option in the back of my mind. They aren't my progeny, not in the way I'm yours. They're my partner. And I don't want that kind of power over them. And if they can't lie to me anymore, then I don't want to be able to lie to them either. You can do all of that. Please, William. Please.
All right.
Sore. Yes. Whatever equivalent to adrenaline I have is long since worn off. The efforts affected my body as well as my mind. I'll recover, but can you get the door up? I'm sorry. Thank you. I think I need to sit down. Wait. Something's... Hi. Caleb. Are you okay? No, you're not. You're safe, and I'm glad you're safe, but you're not okay. No, nobody is. The whole city, everybody, there's so much hurting. I can't. Caleb, it's all right. I know. It's a lot, but I can't be here. Gavin, I can't. I'm sorry. Okay. It's too much. Hold on. Just everybody, all my charges, everybody. I can't. Just hold on for me. I can't. Freelancer. No. Yeah. Okay, I'll be back. Come on, buddy. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm okay. It's the magic. exertion. I just need to sit. He's with Delphinus and Arya. He's never had to face this much pain from this many people all at once. Once he was on the demonic plane, away from all the emotions, he started to calm back down. The panic stilled for the most part. It's gonna take him some time. Being on elegy near all of this, grieving and fear, it would be painful for any empathy demon. For one as young as Caleb, it's completely overwhelming. Every second on this plane brings him pain. I know how he feels. No, not right now. Back in the ward. Right now, the pain in this city is immense, but distributed. It's difficult, but manageable. Without the pressure of thousands of people's emotions trapped in what amounted to a magical echo chamber, reflecting it all back on itself. Now that I'm not trapped in that, my walls are enough again. I can manage it. No, I won't go so far as to say I'm all right. I'm not. The feelings aren't in me anymore, but I still feel the memory of them. All of them. And the quiet is it's leaving room for my own feelings to fill up the gaps. I can't freelancer, not yet. Not tonight, I can't. If I let myself try to work through when I open that box, I don't know when I'll be able to close it again. I can't. I need rest. I don't even know if I can, but if I don't, my body's gonna give out anyway. Can we hold each other? you waking up? Whoa. Careful. Take it slow. Your body must be feeling very different right about now. Take a second. Take a deep breath. Good. Try not to move too fast. It's gonna take a while to get your bearings. But I'm here. And you're safe. Yes. It worked. You're a vampire now. Like me. I know. I know it must all seem almost like it's happening to someone else. How does it feel? Almost like this isn't real. Am I on the right track? Yeah. I was afraid of that. It's how I felt when I woke up after my turning. Like my eyes opened and suddenly nothing was right anymore. Nothing was how I remembered it. I could feel every difference, and it was more than surreal. It was almost detached. Is it anything like that? Okay. When I first turned, William told me something that really helped. First things first, what you're feeling is completely normal. I know it doesn't feel normal, just the opposite, but it's normal to feel the way that you do right now. Your body feels like a stranger to you overnight. You're stronger, faster. Every sense is more powerful, and right now they're all firing on overdrive. You have fangs now. You can feel them in your mouth where there was nothing before. When you look in the mirror, it's not the same eyes looking back at you anymore. Everything feels different. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's real. Like you're somehow just watching what's happening from behind your own eyes. Not like it's actually you. Yeah. Your mind is trying to rationalize what happened to you. It's in a panic state. It's pulling your awareness away from your own body to try and keep you safe. But when you become aware of that distance, when you start to focus on it, and it amplifies that feeling of disconnection with reality, that defense against panicking causes its own kind of panic. One that, in the moment, you might not really identify as that because it doesn't feel like anxiety. It feels like a disconnect. But that's what it is. It's your brain running in an anxiety state that's causing more anxiety, and it's a feedback loop. And in the moment, amidst all of this, it can feel like there's no way out of it. Every action you take just seems to make the awareness of it that much more heightened. To get out of it, you have to stop the anxious thoughts that are fueling it. Which, when you say it like that, sounds completely unhelpful. That's like telling someone, don't think about dogs, and they're immediately going to start to think about dogs. But it's about finding just a moment where you feel normal again, where you feel like the you that you know. That disconnect isn't complete. You don't feel aware of it every single second. If you occupy yourself with something, anything that'll hold all of your attention, even if just for a couple seconds, you can feel that moment afterward where you'll look back and go, okay, I wasn't thinking about the depersonalization for a few seconds. And of course, thinking that immediately brings your attention back to it, and it brings those feelings of disconnect with yourself right back to the forefront. But if you can feel normal for a few seconds, then those seconds can eventually add up to a minute, a few minutes, an hour, days, weeks, years. You can develop that routine of reacting as soon as those feelings start to manifest again and redirecting your attention, grounding yourself in that. Your body will feel normal again. How long that will take is different for every newborn, and there isn't a right or wrong answer. There are things you can do to learn your body faster. Training exercises, mental practices, ways to get accustomed to the new things your body is capable of. They aren't instant fixes. There isn't any one thing that just flips the switch one day and makes everything feel normal again. We're still human. We still have human minds and human failings, and even in a world with magic, we can't just make everything better at the drop of a hat. It takes time, and it takes work. It's gonna take a lot of patience and kindness with yourself. But I will be here with you every step of the way. That's what I'm here for. That's what a maker should be, the certain thing in uncertain times. But more than any of that, I'm here for you just as Vincent, the guy who loves you and who wants to be by your side for as long as you want him. While you were still unconscious, I went to William. I called him on the way to explain briefly what all had happened tonight, and when I reached him, I asked him to invoke me. When Alexis turned Sam and William found out that she'd done that against Sam's wishes, he invoked her to take away her ability to invoke Sam so that she couldn't use her control over him. I asked him to do the same thing to me so that I can never invoke you. I never would, but I didn't even want the ability to do so. I love you. I don't want that kind of imbalance between us. I don't want that kind of power over you. I turned you, but you aren't progeny to me. You're my partner. We're equals. Me being your maker gives us an incredible bond. One that goes both ways. And that's how I want everything about this to be. Something that goes both ways. That we share. So I had William take away my ability to invoke. And as your maker, you can't lie to me. So I had him make it so I can't lie to you. Both ways. With everything. You are in the middle of one of the biggest changes anyone could ever go through. After going through another one of the biggest changes a person could go through just a year and a half ago, I will not take away your agency in that. Never. And I will be here for you in every way that I can as we navigate through this. We have forever now. And I plan to spend it creating a beautiful future with you. One that's built on a foundation of trust and love and honesty. There's gonna be a lot. As if turning wasn't enough, this all happened as part of something even bigger. Something horrible. It's gonna take time. But if nothing else, time is something we have plenty of now. And we have each other. We'll make that future for ourselves. We will. over 1,500 empowered lives lost, while our government stood by and did nothing. It's time for change. It's time for harsh truths. It's time for close-knit. Yesterday, the 31st of December, 2021, an unprecedented disaster struck at the heart of our society. At 7:02 p.m. at the Dahlia Academy for Magical Novices in Dahlia, California, at the closing ceremony of the 39th Annual Elemental and Energetic Games, an unidentified aperture appeared above the presentation stage of the Academy Stadium. Out of that aperture poured a flood of shades, dangerous, violent creatures that feed on the life force of the living. These shades immediately set upon the crowd in the stadium and sought to continue out into the rest of Dahlia and its outlying areas. Swift, decisive action taken by the security team for the event, led by Pack Alpha David Shaw, resulted in the reestablishment of the protective ward around the stadium and adjacent training facilities, containing the danger in the name of the safety of the rest of our fellow empowered and unempowered citizens. It can't be overstated how many countless lives were saved by that impossible choice. But despite valiant efforts on the parts of all citizens trapped within that ward, nearly 1,500 lives were lost to this unprovoked, terrible attack. Shades have historically never been encountered in any amount greater than 2 to 3, and to our understanding, they have always been independent actors, representing no known group and acting under no known banner or creed, besides an instinct to survive. They have been regarded as lone, feral creatures with no capacity to organize. There are no records of an aperture of this kind forming on our plane of existence. But this disaster has shown those precedents to be unfounded, and we must find out why. The Department of Uniform Magical Practices is committed to defending the safety and well-being of our people, even against an as-yet faceless threat such as this one. Already, we are rallying our best and brightest to find out how a tragedy like this one was possible. We will find out who is responsible for this cruel, thoughtless attack on our people and our way of life. We don't yet know if this attack was made at the hands of our known enemies. While the timing of this act of terror coincides with continued attempts to destabilize our containment facilities and their defenses, it is not yet clear if those events and the parties responsible for them are connected. Our efforts to recover are ongoing. Violence of this scale is unlike anything faced before by the magical community. As a people, we are still shaken with disbelief, lingering fear, and immeasurable sadness and anger. But in the face of this destruction and loss of innocent life, we have remained strong. We have seen incredible acts of heroism, bravery, selflessness, and community. Our people have refused and continue to refuse to let this murderous attack break the spirit and resolve of empowered society. This unknown enemy seeks to weaken and destroy us. They have shown us the worst of this world, but we have responded with our best, and while we may mourn, we will not falter. We lament the lives lost at the elemental and energetic games as you do. Like you, those victims were friends, family, peers, fellow members of our magical community lost to a brutal, faceless enemy. But that loss will not be in vain. From the ashes of this disaster, we will rise a stronger, united people, one that no force, no matter its intent or strength or reprehensible acts, can divide. For the safety of our people, until such time as the nature and cause of this disaster can be determined and addressed, the following emergency ordinances are immediately instated, without exception and until further notice. All large-scale, multi-member magical competitions, exhibitions, and experimentation are on indefinite hiatus. Permanent department security forces will be stationed in all cornerstone cities and major academies and will supersede and integrate any existing local government-operated equivalents. Permanent surveillance and containment teams will be stationed at the formation point of the inversion aperture in Dahlia. Entrance to that zone is restricted to approved department personnel. Department-mandated safety and emergency response requirements and documentation will be issued to all empowered businesses, academies, and institutions, and compliance will be overseen by the Empowered Public Security Administration. The Department of Uniform Magical Practices thanks you for your understanding and continued cooperation. Come in. Oh, hey. Hi, hi. Yeah, I'm packing up the office. No, I'm not quitting. I just, the academy offered me a different position, and it comes with a different office, so I'm packing this one up. Yeah, no, I meant to tell you. I didn't, I didn't want to bother you with something like that. It didn't seem, I mean, you just, after everything that happened, everything you went through, everything you're working through, me switching jobs doesn't matter. The last thing you needed was me talking about some new opportunity for me when when you and Gavin and Damien and Huxley are all trying to figure out how to. I don't know. It just seems stupid to bother any of you with it. I appreciate that, but you don't have to say that. No, this already all feels wrong. No, not you, not anything with you. I mean, me getting this promotion. It feels. I don't know. I don't know. Opportunistic. That's not the right word. It's not like I asked for it. I don't know. They offered me a job on the administrative board. It's an incredible opportunity, one I wasn't sure I'd ever get, and one I definitely wouldn't have expected to get this early in my career. It's almost unheard of. It's a position where I could actually really have an effect on things. And if that was all it was, a job offer for a position I wanted, that would be amazing. I would be grateful and excited, but it's not just that. This offer didn't happen in a vacuum. I know why they offered it to me now. And it feels wrong. The Academy isn't willing to speak out against the department publicly. There's too much potential fallout from that, but behind closed doors around here, they've made their stance very clear. They understand why the department did what they did, but they resent not being allowed to try to manage the situation themselves, especially when ultimately it was all of us from the Academy that did actually end the threat, and they're worried that the way this all went down could destroy the Academy. So they're doing everything short of an actual public statement to make it clear how they feel about all this. And one of those things is me. I'm the one who made the announcement that rallied everyone here. The department had put out a gag order to all of their own staff to not disclose any details of what was happening, but I don't work for the department, so they couldn't stop me. Damn, could have, but they conveniently turned the other way. Just like they somehow lost all records of any access code usage from that night. And now they offered me this job. No, of course I want it. It's an amazing chance to really help people, but I didn't get it based on my actual merits. I got it as another way for the academy to stick it to the department. It feels like I'm capitalizing on a horrible tragedy. I don't deserve the job. I'm not a hero. You are. The people who were in there fighting for your lives. You are the ones who deserve things like this, not me. I just sat outside and worried and cried until Milo forced me to actually do something. And even then, all I did was just tell people the truth. It was all those people working together that banished the shades, not me. But all they get is some blanket, nameless thank you in an academy ceremony while I get offered this big opportunity. It's not right. No, don't. Please. This is why I didn't tell any of you. Because you shouldn't be the ones having to comfort me. How fucked is that? How fucking selfish of me to be whining about getting an opportunity when people like you guys literally had to watch people die. Don't comfort me. I should be comforting you. My problems don't mean shit stacked up against yours. Any of yours. I wasn't there. And I couldn't have done what any of you did. Freelancer. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that, but please. I'm not the one who needs consoling. I know you. I know what an amazing heart you have. You see hurt in any form and you want to help. And that's an amazing thing. But you're hurting too. All of you are. Don't lose sight of the fact that you deserve help. Please. Yeah. To that point, how are you? I know right now that's probably an awful question to even try and answer, but yeah. I hear you. I know it it doesn't really make a difference, but I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That you had to see things like that. I can't even imagine what that must have been like. The academy and the department are working together to offer grief counseling to everyone involved in the disaster. One of the only things they've agreed on, but I'm glad they could at least find common ground there. I know you didn't look for that kind of help in the past, but it might be worth trying this time. For all of us, if I'm honest. Just something to consider. If there's anything I can do, anything, even just to listen, you have it. I'm here. And I'm so sorry. You're not just my friend. You're family to me. And I'm here for you, always. However you need me. What? Oh, it's you. I'm sorry. Hey. What's up? Yeah, just training. Working on my endurance. No, it's fine. The healers were able to patch me up fine. It's not like unempowered medicine. I'm not at risk of tearing something open or re-injuring myself. It's fine. I was lucky. And I'm not going to squander that. How are you holding up? Yeah. One day at a time, right? And Gavin? No, my mom wasn't there that day. She was caught up in magistrate stuff. She was only there the day I competed, not the last day. The whole elemental magistrate is a mess right now. Trying to figure out what to do now. What to do about all this. It's been taking up most of her time. Trying to figure out how to prevent something like this from happening again. And since we don't really know what caused it, as you can imagine, they're not really having much luck. It's just turning into a screaming match. With all of us who were in there being used like some kind of emotional trump card, bargaining chip to prove each side's point. Maybe later. I still have a lot of practicing I want to get done today. I've always focused on training. This isn't anything new. I appreciate the concern, but I'm fine. I know my limits and I'm minding them. Working out and training help keep me grounded, and I need that right now. So that's what I'm gonna do. No, I'm not. I said no. That is not how this works. You don't get to tell me how or how not to react to what we went through. I am not pushing myself too hard. And even if I am, if I want to train until I fucking pass out, that is my choice to make. Because I wasn't enough. Because my powers weren't enough. I was useless. I wasted my powers. I ran out when I needed them most because I was short-sighted and angry and every other fucking thing people have always told me I am. I couldn't keep my head straight. I could have gotten Huxley killed because I couldn't keep it together. I let myself get blinded by anger and frustration, like I always do. All the progress I thought I'd made on myself was just gone the second I was under any real pressure. I was worse than useless. I wasn't enough. I watched those people die, and I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop anything that mattered. I didn't. Nothing I did was ever enough. I'm sorry. No. No, it's not okay. It's not. I'm not the only one trying to deal with what happened. You were there too. You saw horrible shit too. I'm sorry I yelled. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not used to having people to lean on or having people that need my support too. I've always dealt with these things alone. But nothing like this. I'm sorry. We'll all figure out some way to get past this. Together. What about you? Yeah. Yeah. How's Lasco holding up? He and I haven't talked much since we left the healing station that night. He seems scared to talk to any of us. And I find myself getting mad at him for that. I'm mad that as close as we've all gotten, he's fucking scared of me again. I hate that I'm letting this turn me into that person again. I hate myself for getting mad at him. He didn't do anything wrong. He's dealing with all this in his own way too. It feels like everything is making me mad now. Being angry is familiar, comfortable, in a sick way. It's always been easier to be mad than be sad. But I don't want to be that anymore. No, I haven't really had a chance to talk to Hux. We texted a little, but he flew home to be with his family before we could really talk. He should be home tomorrow, though. He and Xavier were close. I know that's gotta be tearing him up on top of everything else. Fuck. When we were in there, if I hadn't had Huxley, I don't think I would have made it out of there. There were times when, if it had just been me, I would. I feel like I can't. I feel like I don't know how to talk to anyone anymore. Not even him. He saved my life, and I don't even know how to just pick up the phone and call him. And I don't want to put any of this back on him. He's with his family. He doesn't. And I wouldn't even know how to start a conversation like that. And I know there's people who want to help. You, the grief counselors, even my mom. But I feel alone. I don't know how to talk about any of this. So I go back to training. Because at least when I'm in the middle of that and I'm pushing myself to the absolute limit, there isn't room in my head for all those thoughts. I know. I know I'm not alone. Not by a long shot. Which just makes me feel like I'm being ungrateful to the support I do have. But that's a whole other conversation to be had. Maybe one I'll get into tomorrow. I set an appointment with one of the therapists the academy offered. I don't know what'll come of it, but I need to try it. Because I don't know what else to do. The tools I've got aren't enough for this, not anymore. It's only been 3 fucking days, but it feels like a lifetime. And I'm so tired. But I don't mean to make this all about me. You're going through this too. No. Freelancer, pain isn't a competition. It isn't us putting what we went through on a scale and whoever's is heavier is the one who matters. That's not how this goes. What you went through isn't less valid than mine or Huxley's or anyone's. And any of us would tell you that. Someone suffering something worse doesn't mean you didn't suffer too. You can't think of it like that. Don't phrase it like what you did was only helping Gavin. Don't diminish your own pain like that. Trying to be there for someone who is coming apart is a terrible strain in its own way. That desperate want, more than anything, to just take their pain away. That feeling of powerlessness, of guilt, that you can't fix what's happening, that you can't just take their burden on for yourself, that you can't do anything but be there, and being there doesn't feel like it's enough. Not even close, not against something that awful. It's pain. It's its own kind of hell. It's not wrong to admit that. It's not wrong to need help dealing with that. Acknowledging your pain doesn't invalidate theirs. Needing support doesn't make you a bad caregiver. It makes you human. I'm not here to tell you what to do. God knows I don't have all the right answers. Not for myself, sure as hell, not for anyone else. I'm a fucking walking example of not knowing how to actually hear for myself any of the things I tell other people when it comes to this kind of thing. But please, don't think that just because you didn't have it the worst, that you shouldn't have help too. And as much as we all want to be there for each other, admitting that that won't be enough doesn't mean that we don't care about each other. Believe me. Take it from the guy who doesn't know how to pick up the phone. I have my keys. I'll get the door. No, I'm not hungry. I ate earlier. I don't need anything. Angel. Fine. Something light. I don't want to sit. I've been sitting all day. Except for today's fucking ceremony. Alright. I was able to get a hold of the organizer after they presented us with the medals. She says the memorial is going to be scheduled for next week. They don't have an exact time yet. They finished their last sweep for any survivors or bodies this morning, so they have official numbers now. She asked if I wanted to be put on the schedule to say a few words. Ash is worried that if I do, there's no telling what the public response will be. The department may be painting us as heroes, but the department is also on most people's shit list at this point. So having their vote of confidence only means so much. I told her I'd think about it. I don't know. Apparently the response to me and the whole pack has been mixed, but mostly supportive. All the stories coming out from the people who were actually there have spoken favorably of us and what we did in there. The people we were able to help. The general opinion of the department is a different story. I still have contacts on the inside that were willing to tell me what it's actually like behind closed doors over there right about now. Dump is running damage control in every way they can think of. I know that they tossed around the idea of trying to pin this shit on us. On me. There's no way they didn't consider it. I'm the one who gave the order to reactivate the ward. But no amount of spin changes that they then kept the ward up. So in that scenario, they'd look complicit. So instead, they went the other direction, trying to hail us as heroes that have their full support, medals and all. I'm now the first non-department personnel in history to be awarded the Directorial Medal of Valor. And the commendations they gave to everyone else on the security team makes it the biggest distribution they've ever done in one sitting. People want to have heroes in a tragedy, and Dump knows that. So they picked us. They picked me. And they figure if they lean in hard enough on what good came of this disaster, what headlines they can crank out about acts of bravery and selflessness and impossible choices that saved countless people, it might keep some of the spotlight off the people that can be counted. The dead. I'm not here to be their fucking mouthpiece. I gave them their photo op, their medal ceremony, and I'll be at the memorial whether I say anything or not, but from there, Dump can fuck off. I have enough of my own things to... Enough... I did my part to try and keep their head off the chopping block. I went along with their PR stunt because for all of its problems, I do think our world is safer for having the department in it. We need reform, not fucking anarchy, like some people are already calling for. If you burn the entire department to the ground, you have no idea what might rise to take its place, especially after something like this. When everyone's paranoid and terrified, then they'll listen to anyone loud enough. And I'm thinking about all those things. And I'm trying to focus on those things because that's the future. And I can't go back. I can't change what happened. All I can do is try to make sure that nothing like this can ever happen again. Because fucking medals and political grandstanding won't bring all those people back. Nothing will. Nothing's gonna bring those people back. It's not a math equation. What I did isn't okay just because I saved more people than we lost. I know. Even with everything that happened, knowing how many people are dead, I know it was the right call, but that doesn't change how it doesn't make any of this feel less. So many people are gone. So many people were hurt, and I don't even have the luxury of losing myself in the thought of that, in the memories of what happened in there, because life doesn't stop moving. Even when something this fucking horrific happens, I still have to think about tomorrow, and the day after that, and a month from now, and a year from now. I can't. What does the future even look like for for us anymore. We're a private security firm. Most of the pack works for the company. It's all of our livelihood, but how can I ever ask any of them to do that anymore? After this, how are we ever going to work another job without thinking somewhere in the back of our head the entire time, what if it happens again? What would we do? If anyone would even want to hire us anymore. And we don't have long before we have to figure that out. For most of us, it's our only source of income. And then, when I spend too long thinking about that, I just end up feeling disgusting for even thinking about money right now when 1,500 people are dead. But I have to think about it because no matter how many people died, we're alive, and the world isn't going to just take care of us because something terrible happened to us. And I remind myself that even if money wasn't an issue, sitting here torturing myself thinking about all those people isn't going to do any good. It isn't going to bring anyone back. It isn't going to make changes that will prevent something like this from happening again. It'll just be misery for the sake of misery. So I go back just trying to think about the logistics of how to keep going until I see those faces in my mind again. And I'm right back where I started. And I didn't lose a single pack member. Not one. There were injuries. Some of them terrible. Ash was hanging on by a thread. We almost lost Brooks and Miguel. For a while there, it looked like Christian was going to lose his leg. But against all the odds, every one of them survived. And I should be relieved. I should be proud that they all fought and lived. Our wolf forms gave us enough of an advantage, and we all made it. And then I start wondering how that's fair. The security team, the people who were supposed to be putting themselves in the line of fire to save everyone else, we all survived while all those people died. And I'm happy about it. Because my family survived this. And that feels fucking wrong. I'm happy it was them. And not my family. Who thinks like that? I can't. Angel, I don't know what to do. My own fucking head feels like a prison. I don't know what to do. I cry for those people, but it doesn't bring them back. I try to think about the future, but it feels like there isn't one. try to sleep. But all I see when I close my eyes are shades and people dying. And ash bleeding out in my arms. And I did it. I did that. Right or wrong, I did it. I'm the reason that happened. I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to keep going. I don't deserve a fucking medal from the department. I deserve every person that hates me. If they blame me, they're right. Yeah. I know. I know that. You're right. I'm scared, Angel. I'm scared of what's gonna happen to all of us. In a million different ways. I'm scared I won't be enough this time. Thank you for being with me. I couldn't do this without you. Yeah. Together. Oh. We'll figure this out. Life doesn't stop. So neither will we. What are you thinking for dinner? Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. That's easy. Hmm? Oh, no, It doesn't hurt. Not anymore. Just a little itchy, I guess. I don't know. Half the time I think it's just in my head. I asked Milo's mom about um, the scar. I mean, I know she's not a full-blown healer or anything, but she knows a lot about it. She said it's probably here to stay. When the wounds are that deep, there's only so much they can do. No, it's a silly thing to worry about anyway. I made it. That's the biggest thing. If that means I've got some scars on my chest, then hey, that's part of life, right? It's proof I'm still here. I'm gonna go grab a glass of water. Do you want one? Okay. I'll be right back. Can you check that? I think it's Milo. He's saying he's gonna send me something.
Over 1,500 empowered lives lost, while our government stood by and did nothing. It's time for change.
What the hell is that? Let me see.
Time for close-knit.
You've gotta be fucking kidding me. And these have already been running for days? How did they already have that shit ready to go? Milo was ranting to me about these ads, but I don't know, I guess I hoped he was exaggerating. He wasn't. I can't believe people are already trying to spin this shit for themselves like that. Actually, no. I can believe it. I just wish I couldn't. It's fucking disgusting. What? I don't care if they're going after Dump and not us. It's bullshit. They're just preying on people's panic. And you can bet that if they think for even a second it'll help their cause, they'll go after us too. As if they fucking know anything. As if they know the right choice to have made. How would anyone know? Much less some faceless cult freaks who weren't even there. What the fuck? And to wrap it all up in some bullshit sentiment like they give a shit about the people who died? God. People can say until they're blue in the face that they know what they would have done, but they don't know. No one who wasn't there does. And even the ones of us who were, it's not that simple. No, it doesn't. I keep going back to that night in my mind. I mean, of course I am. Everyone would, but sometimes it's the fighting or the I keep going back to that moment when it was all starting. When we were in that control room. When David had to make that choice. With no time to think about it, he had to choose. Right then. Bring up that ward and save Dahlia, but trap all of those people in there. Even the pack. Or do nothing. And lose the only chance we had at containing them. It wasn't a choice anyone should ever have to make, but David made it. And he made the right choice. As fucking horrible as it was. As horrible as everything about that night was. It was the right call. I couldn't have made that call. I couldn't have. David knew the questions to ask. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. And I just stood there, saying there had to be another way. That we couldn't do that to those people. But we had to. And he knew that. And he saved God only knows how many people doing it. But if it had been me in there, alone, I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have. Those shades would have escaped and killed. I don't even know how many people. They would have flooded into Dahlia. They would have murdered unempowered people like you who didn't even have a chance of fighting back. I couldn't make the choice he did. And now that this has happened, I have to think about the fact that the day might come where I do have to. I'm the beta of this pack. I'm second in command. When David isn't there, it's me. I'm the one people look to make decisions. And at a time like that, when it mattered the most, I choked. I couldn't have done it. Babe, how am I supposed to be a leader in this pack when I can't even... There have always been people who didn't think I was the right fit for the job. They thought I was too immature. Or too young. They said the only reason I got the job was because David wanted his best friend for it. Even though that wasn't what was best for the pack. And I tried not to let that bother me. I tried to just use that energy to prove them wrong. And I think I did, in some ways. And I fucked it up in others. I get that it's something that takes time, and up till now, I've had time. I've had room to fuck up, and the only thing I'm really risking is my own reputation. But this isn't like that. There's no guarantee of time. And if I have to make a choice like that, and I make the wrong one, like I would have, people die. 1,500 people died, and that was when the right decision was made. What would it have been if I'd been the one choosing? I just feel... I just keep thinking about that. And when it's not that, when it's not me stuck in some morbid fantasizing about how much worse it could have been, it's me stuck thinking about how terrible it already was. I don't know what was worse. Being out there fighting those shades, watching people drop, or after I got hurt, when I couldn't fight anymore and all I could do was lay there in the underground and hear every burst of magic and every scream, and I had to sit there surrounded by all these people who just, when we sent them down there, they were scared, they were terrified, and that was awful, but by the time I was down there, after hours had gone by, hours of them having to hear the fighting, having to see more and more people come back down there, broken and exhausted, out of magic, or hear about the ones who didn't make it, having to hear every new person we lost. By then, most of them didn't even look scared anymore. They just looked hopeless. Because there wasn't any hope. They were telling each other goodbye. That they loved each other. People holding their families. Before the shades got me. When David and I talked, we both told each other that that wasn't the end of us. That we weren't gonna fall that night. I don't know if David believed it. But I know I didn't. I didn't think we could make it out of there. When we said goodbye, it felt like goodbye. And when I blacked out, I didn't. I didn't think I was gonna wake back up. But then I did. And I was down there with all those people. People I'd sworn I'd try to protect, but I couldn't do anything but just lay there and watch them say goodbye. And I couldn't even try to reassure them. Because in that moment, I thought they were right. No, babe, you don't. Just you being here helps. Don't think you aren't doing enough. Don't beat yourself up for not being able to do more. You can't take this pain away. No one can. You're here. And that's all I want right now. Thank you for being here. I think I want to go lay down for a while. I'm not really hungry yet. Yeah. Do you want to come with? Okay. Thank you. Can I hold you? You can rest your head on my chest if you want, like you used to. I know it looks kind of bad, but it won't hurt me. I promise. Hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, of course we can hug. We haven't really talked since that night. How are you doing? Yeah. Me too. Uh, it was nice being with my parents. I mean, maybe nice isn't the word. It was kind of comforting. Ever since I moved out here, I don't get to see my mom's in person much. I wish it could have been for better reasons. They were watching the games on the live feed. It cut off right after the portal started to open. They started calling my phone, but the interference didn't let it through. They were losing their minds with worry. I was already supposed to fly out there after the games to catch up and celebrate and everything. After it all went down, I moved the flight up so I could go be with them. They didn't want me to come back here. I'm their only kid, you know? I'm their baby. If there's even a chance that portal could reopen, they want me as far from it as I can get. I love getting to go back to my old town and be with family and, sometimes even catch up with old classmates and shit, but Dahlia's home now. All of you guys are family to me. Even if something awful happened here, it's home. You guys feel like home. And I'm not gonna let this thing take my home away from me. It's already taken enough. Yeah. Me too. Gavin blames himself, doesn't he? Do you think he's ready to talk about it? I don't want to push him. I don't want to make him get back into something if he can't yet. But I need to tell him it wasn't his fault. He's not the reason why Xavier is gone. The shades that took him from us are. Whoever sent them is the reason he's dead, not Gavin. I don't know if he's ready to hear that yet, but he needs to hear it. He saved so many lives by making that ward. Xavier was a really good friend. And he was a really good team captain, too. Seemed like he always knew the right play. He was never an all or nothing kind of guy. He knew you couldn't win every game. He was a realist. He was a smart guy. And Xavier knew what he was doing when he did that. I know he did. When he told you to get Gavin out of there. Against that many shades who none of our powers could hurt yet. One elemental wasn't going to turn the tide. But Gavin could. So Xavier needed to get him out of there. I get why he did it. And by helping Gavin, he helped save so many people. I want to honor that memory. I want to do right by him. And I miss my friend. And I'm gonna keep missing him. That's not going away. When I got back to my parents' place, I was a wreck. The whole flight, I'd felt almost numb. But then the front door opened and they came running out toward me and they were crying, and that's when it got me. That's when it really hit me. That I'm never gonna see him again. That his parents aren't gonna get to open their door and run out and hold their son. At first, I didn't really know how to feel about all of it. Losing Xavier hurt so bad, and I wanted a way to make it not hurt so much. And so many people had died. I tried to tell myself that it wasn't fair to hurt for him so much and not for all those other people. like, distributing that pain over 1,500 people instead of just one would make it hurt less or something. It was fucking stupid, but it's just how your brain works sometimes, you know? And the second day I was there, my mom asked something about him, and I said, well, I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I said something like, I missed him, but he wasn't any more important than any of those other people, that I should be sad for all of them. And she stopped me and she said, Xavier was more important to you. And admitting that doesn't mean you aren't sad for everyone else. Your friend's gone. He was taken from you. You're allowed to feel that hurt stronger. I didn't really know how bad I needed to hear that until she said it. Yeah. Yeah, it was good to hear, but even hearing that, it doesn't feel okay yet. I mean, how could it? My friend's dead. The Academy sent out that information about the grief counseling. I'm gonna see when they have a slot open. Talking through it with family helped some, but it's bigger than just that. For me, anyway. There was so much. You are? When's your appointment? I hope it helps. We all need some help right about now. Can we hug again? Yeah. It's good to be back with you guys. We gotta help take care of each other, right? And don't think that doesn't include you. I know you. I know you. You put all your stuff on the back burner for everybody else, but you gotta take care of you too. And let other people help. I'm really glad you're gonna talk to somebody. And I'm here for you too. We all are. We all went through something fucking awful. And we can grieve that together. All of us. No comparing, no minimizing, just getting through this together. Yeah. It'll feel like home again. Not the exact same as it was, but it'll become a new normal. And we'll all make that together. Hi. It's good to be home. I'm sorry I couldn't go with you today. How is he? Yeah. It can be hard to categorize feelings, even for us demons who are attuned to them. Feelings are complicated. They exist in degrees, and sometimes in contradiction to one another, even at the same time. I'm not sure if I'd been there. I could even tell you for sure what Huxley's feeling right now. Grief is an incredibly strong emotion. It's visceral, primal. It lives beside anger, misery, guilt, fear, regret, even acceptance. They weave through each other, sometimes so tightly they become indistinguishable. I imagine he's feeling a lot of those things all at once. I hope that guilt, at least, isn't one of them. But I guess I know better than to hope that. He wants to talk to me. If I'm honest, I wasn't sure he'd want to even see me anytime soon. That's kind of him to say. I know. I'm trying to find that compassion for myself that you all have given me so freely. But it's gonna take me some time, freelancer. We demons might feed on human emotion, but that doesn't spare us from our own. Those complications and contradictions, they exist in us too. And it's gonna take me some time to unwind them from one another. It's something we'll all have to do. But hopefully we can help each other to do that. My meeting it was interesting. Being back on Aria was a relief in some ways. It was its own kind of pain in others. Freedom from the strength of the emotions that are tearing through Dahlia right now was freeing. Being back in my astral form was a relief in a way I wasn't expecting. Maintaining human form on LG takes a degree of effort, a tiny one, comparatively. One that I wouldn't even notice under normal circumstances, but as drained as I was, it was very much felt. Stepping back into Aria felt like letting go of a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding, which is usually the exact opposite of how going there makes me feel. And I'll admit, though it was a relief in that singular moment, it didn't take long for me to remember why I prefer your plane. The meeting was much bigger than I had assumed. The chorus asked me to appear before them. They'd heard about the inversion, and they knew I was the only demon there. They wanted my insights. Nervous is one way to put it. I was being called before an assembly of the most powerful demons in existence. Our entire ruling body. Ultimately, I didn't have many details to give them. I told them what I saw, what I did, what little we all know about it. I assumed they would have already known more than I did. I was under the impression that they worked at least fairly closely with the human government, especially on something this large. I was wrong. Apparently, coordination and communication between the chorus and the department has been almost non-existent lately. Their relationship has deteriorated rapidly. They didn't go into details. I imagine it's not something they're keen to discuss openly. But I imagine it has to do with the department trying to enforce human laws on demons. There's a valid argument to be made that even with our different moralities and values, if demons operate on the human plane, they should be expected to obey human rules. That's the department's stance. And in recent times, they've finally had enough demon staff to enforce that. Most of the chorus disagrees. They feel that the department has no right to pass judgment on demonkind. They've made no effort to hide their disdain for that. There are plenty of people in the department who think that these mass breakouts of demon prisoners could have been orchestrated by the chorus. I'd like to think my people wouldn't go that far, but I don't know. And I don't know that I can blame the department for their fears in that regard. We can still read each other's emotions, even though we can't feed on them. Most of the chorus was genuinely horrified to hear what had happened. They'd felt those losses, heard those voices in the spell song as they went silent. Our people don't always get along, yours and mine. In fact, I'd go so far as to say they usually don't. But there's a bond there that neither of our people can deny. And in those that I could read, they felt that pain. In the others, I'd like to think that they felt it too. I just couldn't tell. They're the eldest of the chorus, far too old for me to read. In a role like theirs, it's expected that they don't reveal their emotional states. They're a judiciary. You want objectivity there. But everyone there all felt the echoes of the pain of those people from that night through me. Those feelings are still there, and I let them feel them. And I have to believe that any of my kind who felt that would see beyond any grudge they might feel toward humanity and recognize that pain for what it is. Fellow lives suffering in ways that no one ever deserves. They thanked me for my help, and I left. And here I am. I'll call Huxley tonight. If he wants to talk to me, then I'll gladly hear it. I need to talk to all of them, honestly. I'm worried about all of our friends. And you. And me. One step at a time, right? Hey, sweetheart. How'd the meeting go? Did they give you anything? Any kind of info we can use? You're shitting me. How the hell did you get a hold of that? Hey, I'm not here to look a gift horse in the mouth, but can I see it? Holy shit. This really is Jet's report on the whole thing. How many favors did you have to call in to get a copy of this? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't ask. Okay, what do we got here? There's gotta be something in here. I mean, Jet was an arrogant prick, and I would have loved to deck the fucking guy, but I can't believe he would have been that stubborn without a real reason. I mean, he's still a fucking human being, for God's sake. The department had to have some kind of suspicions. Hey, Arrow, off the table. Come on, buddy. No jumping on the papers. Not right now, bud. Here's the part about me. I'm sure he gave me a glowing fucking review. Mr. Greer's attitude. Oh, you thought that was attitude? You little... I could have shown you attitude. That was me keeping myself in check. Whatever. Finding out he hates my guts isn't exactly a revelation. Where's the... Wait. Hold on. Look at this part. Yeah, come here. Nathan Wexler, forward operator, ground team, filed in their report that they suggested opening communication with the chorus. Chorus? They call their government the chorus? Okay. The report is suggesting opening communications with the chorus for additional non-department Delta support to bolster relief efforts and reduce the war's time in operation. This request was denied without further explanation to Wexler in accordance with current department recommendations regarding interaction with any non-department Deltas, specifically those directly reporting to the chorus, until suspicions regarding recent Delta-led attacks on national containment facilities can be fully vetted. Wait. Is there anything else in here about that? That's big. That's... Hold on. When I was in the control room with Jet, he talked about how the reason why it was going to take a long time to get the department's demons there was because they all had to be swapped out for enough human forces to keep those facilities safe. Because the department was worried that with the timing of everything, the containment facility attacks could be related to the inversion. That whoever did it could have been waiting for the department to pull all their forces at once and leave everything undefended so they could strike. That the inversion could be part of something way bigger. If the department is worried that the chorus are the ones responsible for those breakouts, they must also be worried that the chorus are the ones who did the inversion, and that it would have been playing right into their hands to reach out to them. But that just seems... I don't know. I mean, I know humans and demons don't always get along, but I could even see them having a hand in the breakouts, if I'm honest. You know, trying to get their people out from what they see as wrongful imprisonment, but a full-blown attack on thousands of innocent humans, I can't imagine that. I mean, I guess I can see why the department is worried, but they can't actually think. And what about close-knit? The department's gotta have an eye on them. I mean, those ads are running everywhere. And they made them so fucking fast. I mean, sure, they're not Casablanca or something. The production value's nothing special, but still, to have them ready that fast to use this whole fucking tragedy as a jumping off point for some election power play? I mean, I am no fan of Dump. I make no illusions about that. I have said from day one, I think it's a lot of good people trying to make a broken thing work, while some not good people at the top don't give a shit if it's broken or not. But you don't fix that by burning it to the ground and handing over the keys to the kingdom to some bigoted cult that's using a disaster to go from fringe hate group to actual political party. I mean, who's to say they didn't have a hand in all this? They clearly were ready to use it to every advantage the second it happened. And isn't it handy that the way that it all played out manages to make Dump and Demons look bad? The two groups Close-Knit wants rid of. They have everything to gain from this, and clearly they plan to take full advantage of that. There's gotta be more to this. This isn't right. We gotta know more about what they're up to. There's gotta be people who used to be a part of Close-Knit that have distanced themselves from it. People who might know more of what they're actually about. Not just that glossy little buttoned-up exterior they put on. I'm gonna make some calls. Huh? No, I'll grab something to eat later. I'm fine. I want to get moving on this. No, sweetheart, I'm fine. I just don't want to waste any time. I don't need to... Alright. Yeah, I can sit for a bit. What is it? Sweetheart, I know. I know what you're trying to do. I appreciate it. You got an amazing heart. But I'm okay. I want to help. I want to use all this frustration and anger and do good with it. I'm not trying to say that I'm not still dealing with everything that happened. I am. And I will be. For a long time. I know that. But I'm a person who wants to do things. When there are problems, I want to fix them. When there's a job to do, I want to do it. Doing things makes me feel better. Over 1,000 people are dead. Everybody else on the team went through hell and barely made it out alive. I want to find the people responsible for all this fucking pain so we can make them pay for it. I want to learn how this happened so we can make sure it never happens again. If it looks like I'm keeping myself too busy trying to find answers, maybe it's 'cause I am. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not dealing with this perfectly, but actually doing something about it feels better. I mean, sure, if I could go back and do it all again, I would have tried to keep in a cooler head, tried to keep some of my fucking attitude in check. Maybe then I could have convinced Jet. Or if that didn't work, I would have brought down the ward sooner. I would have pushed harder to get it down as fast as I could. Department be damned. But I can't go back. I know that. And I know that sitting here, beating myself up about a million what ifs and what could have beens isn't gonna help anybody. It's not gonna help me. It's not gonna help the people who died. They're gone. And no amount of wishing it was different is gonna change any of that. But what I can do, what I'm gonna do, is make sure that we never get caught on the back foot again. none of us could have prepared for something like what happened. Because nothing like that ever had happened. But now it has. And I can make sure that we're ready for the next time. And I can try to make sure that readiness never has to be tested. That there never is a next time. No. No, I haven't tried to shift since when it failed 3 days ago. The healers told me it might take some time to get back to that. Shifting is incredibly complex magic, and I damn near burned my core to a crisp bringing down that wood. It makes sense that it'll take some time to recover from that. I'm supposed to treat it like a torn muscle, you know. You let it rest, you don't keep testing it every day. Much as I might want to. I know I'll be able to shift again. I gotta let my threads rest. So, in the meantime, I'm gonna focus on things I can control. And hunting these bastards down is one of those things. But, to your point, I'm also not gonna do anyone any good if I pass out from exhaustion or hunger. I can be doing things without neglecting everything else. I've got to find that balance. Thank you for reminding me when I'm losing sight of that. I love you, sweetheart. It's gonna be a long time before this all feels back to normal, huh? Yeah. I guess it's never really gonna be the same normal that it used to be. But we'll figure this out. Somehow. I know we will. Darling, how long have you been standing out here on the porch? An hour? Why didn't you call me? Well, of course I was gonna come home eventually. That's not the point. It could have been hours before I did. If I'd known you were here waiting at the house, I would have come straight home. Why didn't you just tell me you were coming by? Come on. Can't believe you were just sitting out here this whole time. It doesn't matter if the weather's nice. That's not the point. You shouldn't. Come on, get in here. You stubborn little. Come with me to the kitchen. Take a seat. Where did I put There you are. Here. What does it look like? It's the key to the house. If I can't convince you to just ask me where I'm at, least I can do is make sure you're not stuck out there on the porch for who knows how long. Well, go on. Take it. Darling, I want you to have it. Thank you. So, what brought you by? Well, I appreciate you checking on me. I'm doing alright. All things considered. Hanging in there. I'll admit I'm grateful for the company. No, I wasn't driving anywhere in particular. Which is all the more reason why you should have just called me. I would have turned straight around and come back here. I know you can wait. That doesn't mean you should have to. No. I was just driving. It's a habit I got into back in the day. Found it could help clear my head. Not driving anywhere in particular, just driving. Something about it would always just help me think. Given the circumstances of my turn-in, there was a while where I wasn't too comfortable getting out on the road anymore. Quite a while, matter of fact. But I decided that that wasn't something I was going to let my turn-in take away from me. Lord knows it took enough already. I wasn't going to take that form of solace from me too. So, when my head starts acting up as it's prone to do, looping over the same shit again and again as if that makes any kind of difference, well, I drive. Let the streetlights pass over me while I try to think myself out of the hole I thought myself into. No. It didn't help with this one. This is one of those things that only time is gonna fix. That night, it almost doesn't feel real. Everything that happened, the things I saw, I was a healer. I saw some awful shit in my time. And I learned ways to compartmentalize and lock parts of me down so I could get the job done. In chaos like that, you need people who are steady. They all needed someone to be steady, to be the anchor. I could be that. So I was. I didn't let myself feel all those things as they were happening because I couldn't. If I had, you just can't. You have to push it down and push it away and leave it there until later. Until you're out of the danger zone. But later is now. And my mind's all too eager to let me know that. I keep thinking about how things could have gone. I just keep spinning in the what ifs, and I hate that. I hate. It didn't happen. What didn't happen, so it shouldn't fucking matter, but it could have. And that's enough for my mind to lock onto it like it's gospel. I think of the people we lost, and I think about what I could have done different. If I'd been faster, or I think about how I could have helped more people if I'd never been turned in the first place. If I still had all my healing powers that I lost. But then I tell myself that for once, being a vampire helped me do even more good. I was able to use those abilities to stop harm from happening in the first place, instead of only being able to fix it once it already happened. I hold on to that. And I scream that at myself in my own head. I just keep saying I did everything I could. I did good. But somehow that whisper in the back of my mind is louder than anything I could ever scream. And that voice telling me I could have done more. I could have saved lives down in the underground. I could have healed Asher faster, so I could have been at Vincent's side, so that Shade never got a hold of his partner, or I should have saved my energy so I could be the one that turned them, and Vincent wouldn't have to take that on. He wouldn't have to be a maker, but I'd already needed all my strength to heal Asher. And then I started thinking about that. Thinking about seeing him torn to shreds. Blood everywhere. And David just holding him. And I see those tears running down through the dirt and the blood on his face. And this pillar of a man brought to his knees, holding his friend, begging the world not to take this from him. Not when he'd already lost so much. And I think about Vincent. If it had all gone differently and I'd been in David's place, with Vincent the one on the edge of death, if I'd been the one about to lose a part of my family, dying in my arms, and I don't know what's worse, being trapped in that loop, wondering what I would have done, how I would have felt, or thinking about what actually did happen. Having to stand there, not able to do anything but just be there. Well, Vincent and them had to make that choice. In the middle of the worst night imaginable, with barely any time to decide, they had to choose. The same day that they got celebrated for the amazing strength of their powers they got out of horrible torture at the hands of a fucking sadist monster. Powers they fought tooth and nail to learn and master. Now barely a year later they get snatched away because it's that or die. And now Vincent has to be a maker. Not just any maker, he's his partner's maker, and that's... I just keep spinning. It doesn't matter if I'm driving or running or cooking a meal or standing in the shower. It feels like I can't get a moment's peace. And at this point, that's all I want. Even just a minute where I'm free of all this. Because if I can make it a minute, I can make it 2. And if I can make it 2, I can make it 10. And then someday it'll just be a thing that happened that I sometimes think about. It won't be the thing that I can't get away from. It's like my turning all over again, but It's so much bigger than just me this time around. And I know it'll be alright eventually. It always is. I've made it through things before. I can make it through this, but there are times when it's hard to remember what it even felt like before all this. And the longer it goes feeling like this, that peace I had before starts to feel like more and more of a memory that's fading away. And it gets you scared that someday you won't even remember what the old you felt like. Can we go sit somewhere I can hold you proper? Right about now, I really think I need that. Thank you, darling. Come here. Things feel at least a little better when you're here. Thank you for that. And for coming to check up on me. You didn't have to do that, but I'm grateful you did. But what about you? How have you been holding up? Half the damn people you know in this town were stuck inside that ward. Worrying for all of us is its own kind of hell. And the aftershocks of that don't just go away overnight. Even if we did all make it out alive. I'm not deflecting, darling. I'm asking you, honestly, how are you? Because I want to know. And I want to help if I can. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Things like this have a way of changing our perspectives a bit. And our priorities. Things that seemed like such a big deal before don't feel so big in light of almost losing everybody. I don't think I'll ever forget that look in your eye when you found me after the ward fell. Or how it felt to see you standing there. To hold you after that hell. arms and knowing that it was real, that I was still here, that I really had made it. And that everything that had happened, that had been real too. In one sense, it was like a weight was lifted off of me. I didn't have to be the anchor anymore. It was just us. I could let myself feel again. Because I was with you. But those feelings I'd been putting away hit me like a flood tide when I set them free. And you let me. And you held me. And you kept my head above the water even when I thought I couldn't. You're a safe harbor to me. I love Vincent like a brother, and I know how much William cares, but it's not the same. I haven't felt safe in this way in 15 years. You feel like home, darling. And that means more than you know to someone like me. I wasn't sure I'd ever find home again. But I feel it with you. I don't mean to scare you by saying that. I don't know if that's too much, but it's the truth. And I can't bring myself to be anything less than honest with you. Mate. You mean that? You feel that for me? No. That doesn't scare me. I'm honored. I don't claim to have any kind of way with words. I'm not the best at buttoning things up with pretty prose. I'm not a poet, but I'm a man who feels things deep. And I keep these walls high, so those feelings can't get the better of me, but you climbed over them. And you're in here. I love you, darling. Deeply. You don't know what it means to hear you say that back. just feels so right. Like I didn't know it could. I love you. I know I said I needed this to go slow. And I appreciate you so much for respecting that. It means the world to me to have you understand how I was feeling. But I came too close to losing everything to keep wasting my time. I can't let the hurt I've had keep me from being close to you in every sense. I don't want to look back someday and know that I didn't take every chance to feel that kind of joy with you. Because, god damn it, we've earned some joy in this fucking life. And I want to bring that to you. I'm ready. If you'll have me.